Hello out there, everyone in Channel 9 land, Lunenburg Public Access Television. This is Season 5, Episode 6 of Talkin Baseball, brought to you by Jason Smith and my illustrious co-host, Peter Lincoln. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So, by coincidence, we actually had this show going in a certain direction a couple days ago, and last night, this is how good we are at winging it on this show, we changed course after the game last night between the Red Sox and the Indians. So if you think we're scripted, we're not. We figure this all out just beforehand, and it's just one of the great improvisational feats you'll ever see on live television.
You never know what you're going to see in a ball game. That's what I think is the best part about baseball.
We've talked about this
what you're going to see. We went to see Roger Clemens' 20 strikeout game on a miserable, cold April night, and it turned out to be, well, here we are 35 years later, still talking about it.
Still the best game we've ever seen.
What happened last night in the Red Sox game were two things that had never happened before. Two things in 150 years of baseball had not ever happened. Chris Sale struck out his 2000th batter in the fastest time ever for any pitcher, by over 100 innings over Pedro.
He did it in 16:20, I believe it was, and Pedro was next at 17:35.
2,000 strikeouts,
2,000
faster
strikeouts.
than any pitcher ever.
By over 100 innings, which is pretty astounding. And, we talked about the three true outcomes before in baseball, so a lot of strikeouts is sort of the norm for right now, but that's still a pretty extraordinary feat to be striking out that many people this late into a career.
And the other thing that happened was the Red Sox sensational third baseman, who's having a great year, had 6 hits last night. And of the 6 hits, there were 4 doubles. Yep. No one has ever got 6 hits and 4 doubles in a game.
Yep.
Now, how many thousands and thousands of games have there been? It's never happened.
Yep.
And it's only the 5th Red Sox to get 6 hits in a game, period.
Yep, Rafael Devers, 6 for 6 with 4 doubles, and one of them was a hustle double, actually.
Right.
We have to give him a lot of credit. He joined, Jerry Remy was one of the 6 people who had 6 hits
Jerry
in a game.
did his, but it was an extra inning game.
In Seattle.
Nomar did it. Pete Reynolds did it, and I saw Jim Pearsall do the first one in 1953.
So you never know what you're going to get. He was at one of the 6 hit
That's
games.
right, 1953, folks. Yes, I am old.
But this is something to think about. This is the kind of season that Devers is having. This was just the cherry on top of the 2019 campaign that he's putting together. He's 22 years old. He is going to get 20 homers, 40 doubles, and 100 RBIs. There are only 5 other people in baseball history who have done that at age 22. Now, check out the company this puts him in. Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Cal Ripken, Ken Griffey Jr., and Hal Trotsky.
Hal Trotsky.
He joined those 5 guys as the only people ever to do it, which is pretty astounding. And if you don't know who Hal Trotsky is, look him up sometime. He was a superstar player in the late 30s, early 40s, and he had his career cut short by migraines and vision issues at age 28, and he could have been a superstar.
I just missed seeing him by a couple months.
It was almost your era, almost. So you never know what you're going to see. Even sitting at home, it's pretty special to be a part of that. Even if you're not at the park, there's something that is just, something comes over you when you watch something that you've never seen before. Like we were watching last night, and when Devers got the 6th hit, we were cheering in the living room.
Right.
No one else is around us. It's just my wife and I watching the game. It was about 11:30 because it was such a long game.
And I noticed in the game today, Devers got on base the first couple times. Cleveland was high-fiving him.
Oh, yes, they were.
It's such an unusual, tremendous feat that the opposing team was saying, good going, pal.
Absolutely.
It's really unique.
Yeah, and in this afternoon's game, he had 2 more hits. He had 8 consecutive hits before he finally made it out.
So for all the games you go to, you sit through, you're bored, they lose 11-1, and it lasts 4.5 hours to get through it all. There is the occasional time, you just never know when it's going to be, when something special happens.
And it makes it worth it. I'll sit through 7 bad games to watch something like that. That's just me.
So, okay, as you know, we've been going through the top 5 all-time fielders in baseball, and this is going to be center fielders today.
Oh, but
in addition to that, we have a great show lined up.
We do.
We're going to talk about beards.
We are, yeah.
We're going to talk about new venues to play ball in, and we're going to talk about robo-umpires.
Yeah, so we have a full docket for the show today.
So it's going to be more than just the usual...
Yes.
The usual 5 top
fielders. So we'll start in, because this seems pretty relevant, actually. The last 2 days, you probably noticed the Red Sox have acquired a pitcher named Andrew Kashner, who has quite the facial hair going.
Well, this I think we should bring up the picture of the House of David.
Oh, that's a great start.
Let me talk a minute
Great
about
start.
what the House of David was. The House of David started out as a religious commune in Michigan. And for some reason, this commune started sponsoring baseball teams. And they were unique in that they had long hair and long beards. And they became barnstorming teams. Actually, at one point, there were 3 different ones of them. And they lasted from about 1915 to about 1950 and were tremendously popular. They were like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And there was some point where some pros joined them. Satchel Paige played with them. Three Finger Brown played with them. And when they played, they had fake beards.
They had fake beards just so they could match. So if you looked at the House of David picture, you're probably thinking, that looks just like today's ball players, doesn't it? Things come full circle, folks.
Something has happened. This beard phenomenon, which has become so prevalent. I got a little quick trivia question for Jason.
Oh, okay.
Who is the only clean-shaven Red Sox in their current roster? There's just one.
Okay.
24 out of 25 guys have beards of some sort. Some of them, like Mookie's, are a little...
I think I know who it is.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure I know who it is. I'm pretty sure Brock Holt is
That's
the
it.
clean-shaven one.
This guy never misses. He never misses. Brock Holt, the only clean-shaven...
And Brock Holt looks about 12 without a beard, especially compared to the other guys.
I mean, some of them really cultivate them. Some just let them grow.
Yeah.
Some of them can't grow them very well.
No, oh, yeah.
And then there's the George Clooney beards.
Yes.
That's what J.D. Martinez
The 3-day
has.
scruff.
Yeah. He looks the same as though he hasn't shaved for 2 days, every 2 days.
Every single day.
I don't know what kind of a razor he uses.
I don't know. We used to call that the George Michael look back in the day, the 3-day beard.
But everybody seems to have a beard, and some of them are just, somehow it just doesn't seem like, unless you're a Yankee, of course.
Oh, yes.
The Yankees are required to shave.
And the Marlins, too. Now that Derek Jeter owns the Marlins, he's implemented the clean-shaven rule. Mustaches are allowed, but you can't have the beard.
Speaking of Cashner, he refused. He said, "Don't trade me to the Yankees. I won't shave it."
Yes, yeah. Cashner has it in his contract that they can't make him shave the beard because he went to, I think it was Texas, maybe he got traded to, and they made him shave the beard. So he got all upset, and it's now in his contract that he can't lose the beard.
I mean, maybe Cold Cash could change his mind.
I'd shave a beard. $30 million a year. I'd shave a beard. I'd shave my head. Yeah, I'd do a lot more than that for $30 million. Hand me the razor, folks.
So we thought I went online and said, what are the 5 best beards in the major leagues today?
Well, best is a subjective term.
Okay. Most impressive.
Most impressive. That's a better way to put it.
So we're going to start bringing some of those pictures up. What started this fellow Wilson? Tell them about Wilson.
So Brian Wilson was the closer for the San Francisco Giants when they went on their run when they won 3 World Series in 5 years. I think it was 2010, 12, and 14. Now, Brian Wilson, in addition to sharing a name with the Beach Boys guy, had this enormous dyed black beard, as you can see. And after a while, it even got so long that he had a little ponytail holder at the bottom to kind of collect it and had a little braid hanging down. Now, his beard was such a big deal that Giants fans would wear beards in the stands whenever he came in, and he'd have his own section with the beards. And he did a razor ad, I forget for who, and there were actually people living in his beard in the razor ad. He became so well known for it.
It was a phenomenon.
It was a huge deal. So people sort of followed in Wilson's footsteps because 2010, not a lot of people were doing that, but now everybody's doing it.
So here's the other 4. Turner.
Oh yeah, Justin
Turner.
Justin Turner from the LA Dodgers has a whole lot going on here. I think he looks like he came out of the log cabin to go play for the Dodgers that day. I mean, look, there's a lot going on right there. You throw the eye black in, and look, it's like there's not even a person under there. So.
And then there's Keuchel.
Oh, and actually, yes, Dallas Keuchel has an excellent one, too. Recently traded from the Astros to the Braves, former Cy Young winner. That's pretty... That looks like a president in the 1800s, that one, doesn't it?
Some of them groom them.
Yeah, this one at least he has the little handle under his mouth, so this at least is sculpted a little bit.
It's groomed, and some of them take quite all kinds of hair care to get them just right.
Yeah, he looks like he definitely does he definitely has the manscaping thing going on.
Mike Napoli had one that was all landscaped.
Oh, Mike Napoli's was great.
That year they all pulled his beard for luck.
Oh yeah, well, that was a thing that the 2013 Sox.
There's another Charlie Blackmon's another one.
Oh, Charlie Blackmon's a terrific one right here. The Rockies infielder who is one of the best players in the game today. And look at that. Now, see, he has the hair to match, too. Yeah. He has the hair down to his shoulders. So he sort of has a double beard and double
look
hair.
Happy?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you know what? Hey, you know what? You'd be happy, too, if you were hitting .330 every year like he does.
And the last one is the new Red Sox reliever.
Our very own Andrew Kashner, who's been converted to the bullpen lately. There was a suggestion out there that his new nickname should be Viking, because I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I guess he would fit right in on that show with the beard and the hair. And again, that is in his contract that he does not have to shave that.
Wouldn't you think in a day like this would be uncomfortable?
I would think.
Kind of hot.
I would think. I mean, I'm waiting for the day when someone comes up with like a ZZ Top beard, like down to here. I mean, I'm really just waiting for that day. That would be terrific.
So I just like let's say the conservative, because our director Joe McLaughlin thinks this looks good. I just like the conservative people out there. Would you like your daughter, if she came home and said, "I'm going to go out with a major league ball player to look like this first fellow"? That's Aaron Judge.
That's Aaron Judge.
Clean shaven. Looks like a sharp-looking guy. Or the next fellow.
Jason Worth.
Joe has very clear-cut taste.
Yes, Joe. This is Joe's taste right here. But so which one would you rather invite in your home? Just as a hypothetical, Aaron Judge or Jason Worth. So take your pick, A or B. We're not judging personalities or anything here. Not at all.
Just appearance.
Just by appearance.
So here we go with our trivia question. And as some of you who have followed the show regularly know, we've changed it from a trivia question to a Stump Jason question.
Yeah.
Okay. This is somewhat a little bit oblique.
Okay.
It's two parts. And you have all the rest of the show to consider it.
Okay, sure. Who
was the last president to have facial hair?
Okay.
And what was his unique connection to baseball?
Okay. I think I know it, but I will ponder
hold on to it while
I'm pretty sure I know
pondering goes on with our audience.
Yes.
All right.
I'm pretty sure I know it. So that concludes our facial hair section, which maybe next time we'll have beards grown out.
No.
Maybe not.
I grew one year in school. I think it was 95. And my teaching was less effective because it's like...
And it did not go over well with the missus either.
Well, it was gray. It was these black stripes down here.
Hey.
Somewhat demonish.
When I work from home 4 days a week, so my growth comes in sometimes kind of thick after 4 or 5 days. Mine's already gray, so it's no, not happening. I'm trying to fight the aging process. Thank you very much.
Okay, folks, what we've been doing this year is naming the top 5 people in each position. But there are some parameters to that. They have to have started their career after 1950. And if they are still playing, they have to have played at least 10 years.
10 years.
And we are particularly paying attention to factors of the number of games played at that position. So fielding, gold gloves and so forth count just as much as other stats.
It's 5 tools, and they all come into account.
And the reason for picking 1950 is that's when integration started, that's when expansion started, and I've seen them play.
Yes. No. So in this particular case, we're talking about center fielders. Mike Trout is not on our list.
Right.
In 4 years, he probably will be.
Absolutely.
He'll be probably in the top 3 or 4, but he's not going to be on our list for this because he doesn't have the 10 years.
And so we have 8 positions, lefty and righty pitchers. 50 people make our Mount Rushmore Hall of Fame. That's it. So if anybody else comes in, they knock somebody else out. So Trout would eliminate the bottom one of this list.
Yeah. And actually, this was tough because there were 3 really cut top 3 people, and once you got down to 4 and 5, it was pretty razor thin picking who was 4 and 5 and who didn't make the cut. So you may disagree with us at the bottom of our list.
Especially it got subjective because we disagreed on our last pick. And Jason's been pushing one of them for quite a while. So.
I got to do a tough.
I'm older, but he's stronger. So.
I don't know about that, but not wiser. So would you like to take the first one, or do you want me to take the first one?
The first one is arguably the best player that ever played baseball. Certainly the best 5-tool player, Willie Mays. Willie Howard Mays.
Not Willie Mays Hayes from Major League. Do not get them confused. Not the same guy.
Willie Mays, I think, was the first real superstar after World War II. He came up in 1951 with the Giants and was an immediate success, both by his statistics and the way he played the game with exuberance. He was like a Ken Griffey who's coming on later.
I was just going to mention that there's a connection between 2 of our top center fielders.
And he was called the Say Hey Kid with his basket catches And he was involved early in his career in an iconic play. That's hard to
Yes,
say.
it is.
An iconic play where in the World Series, Vic Wertz hit a ball on Polo Grounds, 460 feet, and he turned around, caught it over his shoulder.
Over his shoulder like this.
And how many times have you seen that replay?
And they show the people in the stands going like this. But it's regarded as maybe the greatest catch ever caught on film. So
he played also the most games in center field, 2,829, 3,283 hits, 660 homers, which is still in the top 5.
It was third for quite a while.
His lifetime average 302 for a slugger. That's amazing. Stole 338 bases. And what was great is he had 12 Gold Gloves. And the first 6 years he played, there were no Gold Gloves issued.
So he may have the most.
So he probably has the most ever if you count them all.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize he actually lost 1 year of his career to military service early in his career too.
Right.
So these numbers may be even better if he'd had that year. He also is the all-time leader in stolen base percentage too. So it's not just that he stole; he was very smart when he did run, which is just as important. He led, WAR is the biggest stat that everybody uses. He led the National League in WAR 9 different times, and he is third among positional players ever in WAR.
And he tied Hank Aaron and Stan Musial for the most All-Star games ever played in, 24. Of course, there were 4 years in there where they played 2 games.
Right. Yeah.
24 All-Star games. And in his retirement, he has become as revered.
Oh, absolutely.
He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Which for an athlete, that's incredible. And to show that how long his career spanned, when he debuted, he was the youngest player in the major leagues. When he retired, he was the second oldest. So that's how spanning his career was.
And perhaps it was because he came up in New York shortly after the Brooklyn players. I don't remember hearing racial problems that he had, like Hank Aaron had when he was playing down in the South.
Nothing at all.
He seemed to transcend that almost.
Yeah. And speaking of transcending, like you were talking before, there was just a joy to the way he played the game that made it fun to watch. We've talked about many times, this is an entertainment business, folks. And he was one of the ultimate entertainers. Just always a big smile on his face, always ready to, like you said, let's play too. Just an absolute joy to be on the field. And so that's our number one. And as we've talked about, he may be the best 5-tool all-around player ever.
And he's probably going to be a cleanup hitter. At the end of the year, we're going to make a lineup out of our number 1 All-Stars. He might have the number 4 position.
Absolutely.
Possibly.
So
okay, number 2. Take number 2.
So number 2 is, probably not someone that a lot of Red Sox fans like to hear, especially if you grew up in the 50s and early 60s watching the Red Sox. But our number 2 is Mickey Mantle. Now, put aside that he's a Yankee for a minute, Mickey Mantle had an absolutely extraordinary career. Now, I've talked about OPS plus before, which puts your your OPS in relative to the era that you played. His career OPS is 172. That's second to Barry Bonds ever. That is absolutely extraordinary to be playing at a 72% level better than an average player in the major leagues. That's amazing. He had 536 homers. He had 2,400 games played. Now, he had 3 MVPs, and he also came in second 3 times. So he had 6 times when he was one of the 2 best players in the American League.
And he was in 20 All-Star games.
14 in a row.
He won the Triple Crown in '56, and I don't think after Yaz was the next one.
Yaz was the next one.
And then Cabrera
did it 40-something years later.
He only played 1,700 games in center field because, unfortunately, his very first season in the World Series, he tripped over a drain and ripped up his knee, and they didn't have the medical ability to replace the ACLs in those days. So he played hurt the rest of his career.
He actually played first base the last couple of years of his career because he just couldn't get it done in the outfield anymore. But we've talked before about how, in the past, we've talked about how Cal Ripken is Mr. Oriole and this. Mantle was the face of the Yankees when they were winning all those World Series in the 50s and 60s. Now, in the 50s, they won 9 out of 10 years, I believe it was, and I think they won 11 times in 13 years, and he was the face of the Yankees. He was a 7-time World Series champ. Now think about that. 7 different World Series teams.
Casey Stengel used to say, "I'm not a great manager. This is the way I manage." Mr. Ford, will you please pitch a shutout? Mr. Mantle, will you hit a home run? That's all I have to do.
Right. And Mr. Barrett Catchum. That was it.
This got an interesting little fact. His dad was a huge baseball fan. He was from Commerce, Oklahoma. But his favorite player was Mickey Cochran, who was a catcher for the Tigers. So he named him Mickey after Mickey Cochran, not knowing that Mickey Cochran's real first name was Gordon. And when Mickey found that out later on, he says, well, I'm glad he didn't know his first name, because I wouldn't want to be Gordon Mantle.
Gordon Mantle.
Doesn't seem to have that same assonance, you know.
And Mickey Cochran is from Bridgewater, I believe, isn't he? Yes,
right.
Bridgewater native.
Local boy.
Yes. So Mickey Mantle's our number 2. As much as Red Sox fans might hate him for it, he is number 2.
And the famous M&M race, Maris
Mantle race.
61 captured the nation too, just like later on the
McGuire and Sosa.
McGuire things.
Yeah, sure.
There's one little cute fact. Anybody out there collect baseball cards?
Oh yes.
Mickey Mantle was his number was 7, and they put him as number 7 in the series. I think it was almost 20 years ago, they stopped issuing a number 7 card. So when you got the cards, there was no number 7. That went on, I think, for about 15 years.
It did.
And if you didn't know that, what the hell?
Where's number 7? I'm missing it's not on the checklist. What am I doing?
The last 3 years, Topps has issued number 7 again, but always with a Yankee in that position.
And Mantle's 52 card is one of the most valuable cards in baseball card collecting. That's sort of the.
That's right.
That's a big. That's a hope diamond.
Do a show probably next year on baseball cards, but the 52 Mantle is other than the early.
Honus Wagner
back in the tobacco card series is the number 1.
Yep.
You couldn't buy one for $10,000.
No, and we'd go to baseball card shows and people would have it on display. Oh no, it's not for sale. They were just showing it. So we've seen it, but clearly we don't own it because we don't have 10 grand to throw around.
And so go on to a third one.
So number 3.
It's Ken Griffey Jr.
And speaking of exuberance, love of the game, Ken Griffey Jr. there.
Ken Griffey Sr. actually was a pretty darn good ball player.
They played together for.
They did.
Yes, they did.
In the '67 series, he got the hit off Bill Lee that lost the second game of the World Series for us. Ken Griffey Sr.
Ken Griffey Sr.
And,
the 75 series, not 67. 75 series.
Was it?
Yes, 1975 series.
Oh yeah.
Off Bill Lee. Yes,
that's right. I was there.
You were there.
I told you I'm very
old. See, this is live TV, ladies and gentlemen.
So Griffey come up with Seattle, and those were his glory years. He again, because his style seemed to be joyous the way he played, a phenomenal outfielder. He won 10 Gold Gloves. Mantle only won 1, but that was probably because he was hampered by his injuries.
Sure. 10
Gold Gloves, 13 All-Star games, 97 MVP, 7 Silver Sluggers. Hit 630 homers. His stats are off the wall. But what happened is he finally left Seattle and went to Cincinnati, his hometown. That wasn't a wise move.
No, and he was still very good in Cincinnati. Don't get me wrong. He was still one of the best players in the league, but he never quite hit those heights that he had in Seattle.
Yep.
And if you've watched the MLB Network at all, they had a show recently talking about the 95 Mariners and how that team essentially saved baseball in Seattle. Because the Mariners came into town in '77, and they went about 15 years before they even had a winning team. And in the early 90s, with all those bad teams, they drafted guys like Griffey, and they traded for guys like Randy Johnson. They had Edgar Martinez, and that 95 team memorably took out the Yankees in the playoffs. Who can forget Griffey hitting 5 homers in that playoff series against the Yankees? And that saved the Mariners franchise, that 95 season. It was such a magical year. And Griffey was the face of the franchise of Seattle.
Remember that iconic shot where he dashes home, scores the winning run?
Scores the winning run, and they'll pile on him.
Coming out of the pile, this big, huge, joyful grin on his face. That's another thing they've shown over and over again.
And people forget, he actually played for the White Sox one year, too, right at the very end of his career. And then he went back to Seattle again. And again, just like Willie Mays, just a total smile on his face all the time, just the joy of playing. All was just a joy to be around, and played in the steroid era and never, once came up on any list of a steroid accusation whatsoever.
3 cute facts about him. His 98% Hall of Fame votes was the tops until Rivera last year, who had 100%. Highest Hall of Fame voting ever. He's one of only 2 players who was the number 1 in the draft that made the Hall of Fame. The other one was Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones, yep.
And he's from Donora, Pennsylvania, where Stan Musial was from. and they shared the same birthday, November 21st.
So
how's that for coincidence?
Small world.
Little town in Pennsylvania
small
has
world.
2 all-star ball players.
And he's like I said, he's one of the very few players. He played one season alongside his dad. Ken Griffey Sr. was still playing when Ken Griffey Jr. came in. What an honor that would be to play with your father.
I think they each hit a home run in the same game.
They
once.
did. They both hit a home run in the same game. So
imagine that.
Yeah. So that's our number 3, Ken Griffey Jr. And on to number 4. This is where it started getting a little dicey because these 3 were clear-cut head and shoulders above everyone else. You really can't argue these top 3. Once we got to 4 and 5, it was really parsing apart the numbers and seeing, sort of getting nitpicky here.
Well, the problem with number 4 was his career he didn't have much longevity to his career.
He only played 12 years,
12 seasons.
12 seasons. Our number 4 is Kirby Puckett. He played, and I think what puts him at number 4 for us is we've talked about iconic players. Kirby Puckett is Mr. Twin.
Mr. Twin.
He was with the Twins his entire career. He was with them both times they won the World Series and was right in the middle of these. He's a terrific clutch playoff player. Who can forget that catch he made against the wall in the Metrodome back when they had the baggie out in the field, and he saved the 91 series making a catch against the wall.
And he's another guy that seemed to be playing with a joie de vivre
Oh,
all the
absolutely.
time. So enjoyed playing the game.
And he was someone you could root for because he didn't look like a ball player. He looked like a fire hydrant. He was this sort of squat guy, had a little bit of a gut to him, but man, could he move, and man, could he hit a 318 lifetime average. That's incredible.
No, Mantle Mays did not have that.
No. And he made 10 straight All-Star games. He won 6 Gold Gloves, so he had the fielding to go along with the hitting. He only played 12 years. In 8 of those seasons, he got MVP votes.
And 600 times he had 200 hits.
Yes, yeah. He was the ultimate contact hitter. He didn't walk very much. He didn't strike out very much. But he was he was one of these, how do you get this guy out? Because no matter what you threw, he would make contact and hit it somewhere.
Unfortunately, he had eye troubles, and it got to a point where he could not safely play ball because he couldn't see well.
Severe glaucoma that hampered his career.
And he died, I think, at the age of 45.
Yes, yeah.
The very last few years of his life were quite troubled.
Yes.
He got in a lot of trouble. His weight ballooned.
And he was pretty much blind by the time he died thanks to his eye issues.
Now, Red Sox fans know that David Ortiz came up with the Twins. And to our good fortune, they released him. David Ortiz wore number 34 in honor of Kirby Puckett because that was Puckett's number. What a tribute.
Yep. So that's our number 4. Who, as we said, the stats may not line up as well as some of the other people that are below him, but the iconic stature, I think, it counts for a lot with us. I think that's something that goes a long way. So he's our number 4, and number 5, like I said,
number 5 we kicked around.
We really kicked around this one. We could have gone a lot of
I wanted to go with Kenny Lofton because of what he'd done, and Jake like Jim Edmonds.
Jim Edmonds is completely overlooked, but eventually we ended up going with Carlos Beltran for number 5. Carlos Beltran, see, the problem with him is that he was a compiler, but he was a good compiler. He only had 4 seasons where he got MVP votes, but he ended up with 435 homers and 312 steals. 3 Gold Gloves. He won a Rookie of the Year. I take it back. He had 7 seasons with MVP votes, but he didn't finish particularly high in any of those seasons. But he was just so steady his entire career. I remember when the Yankees picked him up at about age 34. He's done. He's over the hill, and he kept going for a couple of years. Then the Giants got him. He's over the hill, and he hung around again. Then Texas got him. He's over the hill, and he hung right. He didn't drop off until he was in his 40s. Year in, year out, he might not have led the league in homers or steals, but he was always in the top 5, 6, 7 guys year in and year out.
And he ended up 435 homers.
It's just so he was another 5-tool guy, and he's sort of I think he gets overlooked particularly by American League fans because he came up with the Royals when they were just dreadful. And he was sort of a one-man wrecking crew with the Royals, and finally when he hit free agent, well, actually he was traded.
What do you mean when they were dreadful?
Well, they had their little 2-year flip. But and finally the Royals traded him because he had free agency looming, and there was no way they were going to be able to afford to keep this guy. So he went from the Royals to the National League. And so I don't think American League fans truly got to see his prime years stuck on a bad team, and then when he went to the Mets, and I think it was the Cardinals first, or the Astros he went to, and then the Mets afterwards. But that's our number 5. And if you saw him play, he was killer clutch player too. Always had a big hit, always in the middle of the rallies.
When he first came, he was Rookie of the Year.
He was Rookie of the Year.
1999. He's only the 4th switch hitter to hit 400 home runs. 4th one. And his excellent postseason record, I think, is what turned our tide.
He's over 300 in the postseason, and he had some big homers.
Except
for 2006.
In one postseason, he stole 11 bases at 11 tries. Best postseason. Obviously
you can't beat that.
So for a guy that hit 435 homers and steal 300 bases too is worthy of number 5.
And we were talking 5-tool players. You throw that in with the defense. Here's a number 5. But like you said, Kenny Lofton had a great argument. Jim Edmonds had a great argument. Andrew Jones did. Even surprisingly, even Red Sox fans might scoff at this. Surprisingly, Ellis Burks was pretty strong up in these categories too, believe it or not. So this was a really, really strong position, and it is perfectly okay to disagree with us about number 5 because it was really razor thin when it came down to picking the last.
And I'm going to do a little prediction here. When we're doing our 9th season of Talking Baseball, we're probably going to have to add Trout to this list.
Absolutely.
Because by then he certainly will compile records that's better than the last couple guys.
Mike Trout is absolutely ridiculous.
So look forward to that. It'll probably be I'd say probably August of 2023.
Yeah, so we'll probably be drinking food out of blenders at that point. We may not remember that we did this show 4 years ago at that point, but maybe we'll come back and it'll seem fresh to us.
So here's our top 5 center fielders: Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, Ken Griffey Jr., Kirby Puckett, and Carlos Beltran.
So, agree, disagree, let us know what you think.
Anytime you think that this is, of course, subjective.
Of course it is.
We're going by our stats, our feelings, but we have seen all these guys play, and especially the ones that have achieved. I don't think Beltran had an iconic moment, did he?
No, and I think that's another knock against him. Is that the other 4 had iconic moments in their careers, and he never really
think
did.
Of these guys, and you can remember one specific play, one specific image, and you can picture it. But picture Beltran. Because his name was close to Beltray,
right, who was on another list of ours.
That could get mixed up, so it's possible you could confuse those.
So next time will be right fielders, and that will be the last of our position players.
Right.
So do tune in then.
Well, we got catchers still.
And that's right. We do have catchers.
That is sort of a position.
That's right. It's
uncomfortable position.
Sort of. Sort of.
All right. So, if you've been following what's been going on in playing in odd places. That's right. I forgot something.
Yeah.
No, I'm not giving trivia answer now.
We're going to hold off on the trivia for now.
Answer now.
All right. We'll hold
off.
Have
to do it now?
Okay. We've been told by our illustrious producer that
we have eyes and ears out in the audience here.
They have to guide us and rein us in a little bit.
The trivia question was, who was the last president to have facial hair, and what was his connection to baseball?
I think I know this because the first president to throw out a first pitch was Taft. So I think it was him, because Taft had the big belly and the big mustache. Is that right?
Once again.
Cool. Yes. Look at that mustache. I mean, you can't. How can you go wrong with that facial hair, ladies and gentlemen?
In fact, Jason's son likes the book made about him.
Yes, he does.
He's Taft in a bathtub. What's the name of it?
Taft is stuck in the bathtub, and it's one of my son's favorite goodnight stories. It's about Taft getting stuck in the bathtub.
That's how you knew the answer.
It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. And Taft, being a rather large man, gets stuck in the bathtub, and that's how they get him out.
No presidents of facial hair since, and none before Abraham Lincoln. But the late 19th century, everybody had facial hair.
Everybody had.
So maybe they'll start. The presidents will start copying baseball, and one of these hopefuls will want to hook on to contemporary, so grow a beard.
I'm sure Liz Warren would look resplendent in a beard. Maybe she should try it. Sorry.
All right, carrying right on.
Moving on.
Red Sox played in London this year, as you probably know, and the baseball was played in Mexico City, and Japan, and London, and Puerto Rico. And this coming year, there's going to be a game. No, not this coming year. Next year, on Thursday, August 13th. The Yankees and the White Sox are playing in Iowa, near the Field of Dreams. Everyone loves the movie Field of Dreams, where this a ball field was built in a cornfield.
If you build it, he will come.
They will come. And Joe Jackson came walking out of to save the day. They're not going to play on that field, but they are going to build a temporary 8,000-seat stadium, and people to get into it have to walk through a cornfield to get there.
Just like the players in the movie.
Doesn't that get you right here?
So
And
there's actually a
also-
map online. You can see how they've mapped out the field, and it's quite the undertaking, apparently.
And there's going to be a second game that the Red Sox and Orioles are playing in Williamsport in the Little League Classic on Sunday, August 23rd. It's a home game for the Orioles.
No, hey, also good so someone else can lose a
I
home
don't
game
think they're
this
playing
year.
in a Little League field.
I hope not.
But the Orioles have been playing in a Little League field this year.
The little league team, anyway. By the way, the Orioles lost to the Yankees for the 16th
straight time
today. So, thank you, Baltimore. So we were thinking about places other than ballparks where you might have a game.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to go and play in all these crazy places all over the country and all over the world, what are some other great places that you could go and play
We've
a
got
game?
suggestions.
We have some great ideas
Major League
here.
Baseball has been coming up with some things, but we have some of the things that I think would really draw in a unique crowd.
Sure. So
What's your first one?
So my first one is an idea of, now in the wintertime, Fenway Park wasn't being used, and recently they've added what I think it's called the Winter Classic, where the Bruins play at Fenway Park. So why not switch it up? Let's have the Red Sox play on a hockey rink. Why not? I mean, that would be great entertainment right there. Have a mound of ice and a home plate carved into ice.
Play baseball on skates.
Baseball on skates. Have that. It doesn't have to be at Fenway. It can be at any outdoor venue. I think that's a great moneymaker right there, and it'd be certainly a unique, one of a kind.
And they should play Toronto because Toronto's in Canada.
I was going to say, let's do it in Toronto. That's a perfect place for it. Have it be right near the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think that would be a big moneymaker for baseball.
Okay. Well, since they're doing games based on movies, I think they should play one in the park that Bull Durham plays in.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
everyone loves
great
the
one.
movie Bull Durham.
Great one.
But here's the kicker. In the outfield, there's the bull.
Yes.
You hit the bull, it snorts.
Yes.
During the regular game, any player that hits it gets $1 million.
Oh, great idea. Yes.
Hitting away $1 million in baseball has
Right.
become something they do in the All-Star game. $1 million if you hit the ball.
$1 million. Not if you hit it as a pitcher like Nuke LaLoosh did, hit the ball. Not that guy. The big bull out in center
And the
field.
trick is to get the catcher to tell you what pitch is coming. So if the pitcher tells you what pitch is coming, you get a better chance to hit the ball, and you split the money.
And you split the money with the
money
pitcher.
with him.
When you speak of me, speak well.
Speak
Here
well.
comes the deuce.
Okay.
So
there's two places. You can play on ice. You can play in it's in North Carolina.
It's in North Carolina, yes.
The Durham Field, which is a nice field.
It is, yeah.
And it's certainly famous because of the movie. And maybe we can get Susan Sarandon to throw out the
Oh,
first
sure.
ball.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, have Kevin Costner come and hang
Actually,
out.
get the whole cast out
Yeah,
there.
have Tim Robbins go out in his underwear like he did in the movie and throw out the first pitch.
Costner could pinch hit.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Oh,
great idea.
great.
I think we found our moneymaker right here.
And if he hit the ball,
Yeah, perfect. So, my next suggestion's a little extreme, perhaps, but I think it would be
the first two weren't.
Yeah, well, no, this is really extreme. Everybody, the big stat right now is exit velocity. When they talk about how hard he hits the ball, which he does, that had an exit velocity of 106 miles an hour. Well, if you really want to get some interesting exit velocity, how about playing a game on the moon when there is no gravity? How about how do you measure that exit velocity right there? I mean, there's no gravity. The pitch is coming in. It would be like a Wakefield knuckleball coming in. There'd be no spin on it. So let's see how hard you can hit it when you're on the moon with no gravity. That would really mess with exit velocity numbers right there. And they could, put the players in a rocket. You could, instead of spring training, go up and get used to the lack of atmosphere. I mean, I don't know who would pay to go and play.
Everybody would play to go see the game.
Oh, yeah.
There are people crazy enough to spend $1 million to go see him play in London, which wasn't even a real game.
Right.
I guarantee people want to go to the moon to see the first moon
That'd
game.
be great.
They always talk about moonshots.
Yeah, that would be a moonshot. And think of, and it's not just the people paying. I mean, think of the contractors you have to send up there to build the stadium. I mean, this is
The only
this is
real
money.
problem would be an 8-minute delay in the relay to get the
Yes,
shot.
yes.
Because it takes eight minutes, I think, to go through the waves to
Well,
get
it would
down
be
here.
6 minutes to radio, 8 minutes to TV, because there's already the radio TV lag time right
They
now.
have plenty of time to censor anything that happened wrong.
So I think that's the next logical step. I mean, we're playing all over the world. Why not take it off the world too?
Okay, I've got the best one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
In the 40s, there were a lot of Italian players that did very well. Joe DiMaggio, Phil Rizzuto, Yogi Berra, Frank Crissetti. But I've noticed of late there's a lot fewer Italian ball players. I know the thing of Benintendi. We don't have enough Italians. So we've got to bring baseball to Italy by playing in the Roman Colosseum.
Oh, that's a great
Gotta play
idea.
in the Coliseum.
Yes, great idea.
Imagine that.
Oh, perfect.
Now, attendance has really fallen off in the last 2,000 years.
Yeah, it's not quite the venue it used to be.
And it's not had lights. They've held out from lights longer than Wrigley has.
Yeah.
So we got to put lights there. And I think that would be the seats are already there.
Oh, yeah. There's just a little renovation, a little touch-up. That'd be perfect. I mean,
And then I don't know how we're going to work the Lions and Tigers in yet.
oh, that's a great. Well, maybe we can have them roam the outfield.
Ooh.
So whenever there's a fly
How
ball,
about
you have
this?
to dodge
How about we got a Tiger team. How about teaching the Lions to play baseball?
Oh, perfect. Yes.
And the Lions and Tigers could fight each
Tigers
other.
can play. Yeah, great. That's a great idea. And maybe we can throw a couple gladiators in there, you know.
They'd be the umpires.
Yeah. And they can bring the weapons out. They could have the spears and shields. I mean, you can try to get in the way of knock the fielders over.
A game in the Roman Coliseum would be just...
I think that's a fantastic
it's just stood
idea.
there useless for all this
I
time.
mean, and that's bringing sports full circle over 2 millennium
That's
right
right.
there.
Oh,
I mean,
that's right.
That's
Full cycle.
Great. I mean, full cycle. So obviously we're being facetious here. We're being a little tongue-in-cheek, but
it does seem that baseball is stretching it to keep playing more and more games out of the stadiums. Those 2 games in London those are fake games. I'm sorry.
And it's not fair to it happened to be the Red Sox this year. It's not fair that those are considered home games. I'm sorry. Those are 2 games against your biggest rival. They should be played either at Yankee Stadium or at Fenway. I mean, there really is no home team there.
The way we read it, it's a sign that baseball isn't healthy.
Yes.
They shouldn't have to go to gimmicks
Right.
in order to boost attention and attendance at the ballparks. It just seems we're not in favor of it.
No.
But next time you in Rome,
and do as the Romans do in Rome next time.
Full moon. Just imagine
a ball game up
the
there.
Hubble telescope.
Yes. Well, maybe that's what they would do. They'd use the Hubble to relay it to Earth.
Scope vision.
Scope vision. Yeah. I think that's perfect. So those are just some moderate suggestions for future game sites, and chime in with your own, please. We encourage, we take all opinions.
Okay, back to somewhat reasonable.
Back to Earth. Yeah.
There is an interest that has come up lately, primarily because of the difficulty that home plate umpires seem to have in balls and strikes, with possibly automating home plate calls as well. It's gotten to a point where the slightest fraction of an inch when a base runner is thrown off second base, say, that they can catch it and call him out as safe. The technology has taken over the umpire's roles on the base paths.
They have.
Every single call is shot by 6 or 7 cameras that can be analyzed. Go to New York and find it out. So everything is technically accurate. But the calls at home plate have sometimes been just hideous.
Yeah, and when you think about it, balls and strikes affect the game more than anything else. I mean, say you have a 1-0 count and the home plate umpire misses it. There's a big difference between a 1-1 count and a 2-0 count. That's a huge difference, and it affects the entire at-bat, could affect the entire game. And so what they've done in the Atlantic League is they've gone to robo-umps. It's this company called Trackman, and it takes a picture of the strike zone, and it reads the ball when it comes in, and it can tell if it's a ball or strike according to the pitcher. Now, if you ever watch Game Day, see, this is a great example. If you've ever watched Game Day, this is what it's like. Now, this was an at-bat. This was actually an at-bat against Eduardo Rodriguez in the Yankees series, Edwin Encarnacion. Now, see, the box is the strike zone. Check out pitches 4 and 6. Clearly, they're strikes, aren't they? The ump called those balls. Now, if you know Eduardo Rodriguez, he lives in that part of the strike zone. His low changeup is his bread and butter pitch. Now, Encarnacion walked, and the next batter hit a grand slam out of the park, and that was the only runs he gave up the entire game. That would have been the third out of the inning. And Erod adjusted to his credit. He said, I'm not going to get this low strike, so he sort of muddled his way through the rest of the game, and he was fine. But that affected the game right there, because that grand slam was the difference in a 4-2 game.
Now, this is how this would work. Every batter is calculated by his size as to what his strike zone is. Strike zone is the bottom of the knees to the top of the belt. To the belt, top of the belt. That's the only strike zone. And so Everyone, those stats are all available, and for every batter that comes up, it will be adjusted for that. And any batter that hasn't been will be to someone that's 6'2". I don't know why.
Right, yes,
but
that's the
but that's what
average
they're going
build.
to do.
Sure.
Now, the home plate umpire doesn't go away. He's still there. And he has an earpiece and something in the back of electronic behind him. And the device calls the ball a strike or a ball, and the umpire relays that call through hand signals.
Yep. And I believe the ump does have the right to override it in an extreme case, like say a pitch bounces in and it's a strike on the bounce, something like that. The home plate umpire could overrule it. But if you see some of these, we took some game day pictures of some of these balls and strikes here that were just absolutely ridiculous.
Technically, what they use supposedly is an Apple AirPod in his right ear connected to an iPhone in his back pocket using Doppler radar. They're able to figure the same way they do the weather.
This is like the weather report. But this is the game that Chris Sale pitched a couple of weeks ago against the Yankees. That was actually a huge discussion came out about this game because the umpire was so bad. His name was Mike Estabrook. Now look at pitch 7. Pitch 7. That was a called third strike to J.D. Martinez. Now, look where that is in relation to the strike zone. It's not even close. And Martinez, of course, complained, and this set off a whole storm and a whole series of horrendous calls. You know, if we just show some of the other ones here, and it culminated in Cora getting thrown out of the game and Sale when he was taken out, because Sale was just so flustered by this home plate umpire. He ended up giving 7 or 8 runs. And on the way out, when he was leaving the game, he yelled at the umpire, and the ump went like this on the way out of the game too. Like, this is another one. Now this is when Germán was pitching for the Yankees. Now look at this right here. Now look at that. Now this is a strike zone that Germán had. Ball 2, pitch 2, is exactly where pitch 7 was to J.D. Martinez. It's a ball in that case. Yep. So go figure that one out. It's a ball in one case and a strike in the other. Now, tell me there weren't 2 different strike zones. And strike 5 was called a strike. I believe it was to Devers. Now, come on. Look at how much that misses the strike zone by pitch 5. Well, that's just clearly a ball.
See, we've got a dichotomy here. If you're going to be precise, and infinitesimally precise on every other call, the calls that matter the most, the balls and strikes calls, are just totally subjective.
Do it on balls and strikes.
You either do away with it altogether or you keep it altogether.
Right.
So if you don't like the robo-umpires, you shouldn't like anything else.
Exactly.
I mean, I just assumed they did away with all of it. All of it. Because the old days when the umpires made their calls and you screamed and yelled and the umpires threw guys out, and Earl Weaver came out and stuck his chin up. It is entertaining.
It was entertaining.
We say it all the time. This is entertaining.
It was entertaining, and there's one pitch that we have coming up here. I'm not sure where it is in the relay. We can go past this one. This is just another example. How is pitch 3 a ball? Go figure that one out. But there's one coming up here. It was a pitch to Aaron Judge. And Remy was in the booth, and Remy absolutely flipped out when this was called the ball. It was a pitch exactly down the middle of the strike zone, and it was called the ball. And Remy says, "Where was that? Where was it? Pitch 5. Look at pitch 5. It's green. That was called a ball." Now, how do you get any more in the strike zone than that pitch right there? That was called a ball by Estabrook, and that's when Remy said, "This is brutal. This is the worst home plate umpiring I've ever seen." And I think the next batter, Cora took Sale out, and Cora just got in the ump's face after that and said, "This is ridiculous." And see, and you talked about the human element. Players will accept that an ump makes a mistake if he owns it. If he says, "Hey, I missed that one," or if an ump is going to miss a call, be consistent about it. Okay, I'm not going to get this pitch, but when it's a ball one time and it's a strike the next time, that's when players get upset. And batters and pitchers, because you don't know what's coming. And so the robo-ump is an attempt to cut down on that subjectivity of the balls and strikes.
Well, for years and years, certain umpires were known as low ball umps.
Oh, sure.
Or high ball umps.
Sure.
But at least they were consistent.
Exactly.
But
that's what it is.
Even that is wrong. There should be a strike zone, and it should be the same for everyone. And I would think that there should be some way to rate the umpires, but apparently the umpires union is such that the worst umpire in the world is very difficult to get rid of.
Right. I'm not calling out the current umpires as being any worse than the days of umpires
Right.
past.
No.
The technology is there to judge them. That's the big difference. I mean, we all remember Richie Garcia blowing big calls all the time back in the day and being arrogant about it, and there was nothing they could do. Well, now the technology is here to prove what the umpires are calling right or wrong.
Umpires used to have more personalities, too.
Oh, sure.
I remember someone like Emmett Ashford, the
Yeah.
first black umpire, we could running a leap off the pitcher's mound as
Yeah.
he ran out there. And who was the guy that, Luciano?
Luciano.
When a guy was out, he'd shoot at him. Bang, 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 bang.
You're
shoot
out,
him
you're
So
out.
they had some more personalities.
Yeah.
So at least they were part of the show, too.
Oh, yeah. There's a story about Luciano. He was in his hotel room one night, and he was standing in front of the mirror, and he kept going, "You're out! You're out!" with different gestures. And somebody next door banged on the wall and said, "Damn it, don't you ever call anyone safe?"
And they all had styles. And there used to be just American League umpires
Right.
and National League umpires.
Right.
They wore their chest protector in different ways, and you knew them all.
Right.
A 1954 Bowman had umpire cards you
Sure.
could buy. They were part of the series. And I knew all those guys then. I loved Bill Summers because he was from Massachusetts. Always follow him.
But now you're better off being anonymous. They want you to be anonymous.
They mixed all the umpires up,
Sure,
and only a very few, someone like Angel Hernandez, that's arguably the worst umpire in history. In fact, let me read you this quote.
Oh, yeah, this is
As
a
I was
great
reading
quote.
about robo-umps, listen to this one. This is a quote. "Robot umps have finally made their way into pro baseball, and by all accounts seem primed to make Angel Hernandez just a little bit less horrible at his job."
Which he is.
I got that offline, folks.
Which he is. And look no further than Alex Cora for how bad Angel Hernandez is when a couple weeks ago he screwed up the rules and Cora protested the game, which Cora was 100% right for doing it. Angel Hernandez just didn't even know the rules of the game. And Cora said, what happened is the Rays took their pitcher
Right.
out. They put their pitcher in the field.
Yeah.
And what happens is you lose your DH because your DH is in the place of the pitcher. But what Hernandez didn't do was he didn't put the other pitcher into the spot in the lineup that he was supposed to. So for one batter, the pitcher was taken out, put in the field, and then put back on the mound. But for that one at bat where the pitcher was in the field, they didn't declare where the pitcher was in relation to the DH. So for that one at bat, the Rays had 10 guys in 9 spots because Hernandez never took the pitcher out of the lineup spot. And Cora said, "You can't do that. You can't have 10 guys in 9 lineup spots. It doesn't work that way." And then Hernandez tried to cover for his mistake by putting the pitcher at the bottom of the lineup, and Cora said, you still can't do that. You have to put him where the DH is. He's handcuffed to that DH
It was
spot.
almost comic. It's about a 14-minute delay.
Oh, it was
while the
huge.
umpires tried
Yeah.
to figure out what to do. Now, it's perfectly legal to put a pitcher into the field and bring him back on the mound. But you do that, you lose the DH.
And he's tethered to that DH spot,
Right.
which is what Hernandez didn't understand. He tried to put him at the bottom like a double switch. You can't do that. He is in that DH spot no matter what. So that was pretty entertaining. And after the game, the guys, Tom Carrot and Steve Lyons, were all saying, "Yeah, Hernandez screwed it up." I mean, it wasn't even a... And I think Cora eventually dropped the appeal because...
The other 3 umpires didn't seem to know what to do either.
No,
it was funny. It was like the Stooges there.
right.
Oh, what do we do, folks?
And Cora's screaming at him, saying, "Guys, look at this lineup." And Cora knew going in because when it was brought up to him by the opposing manager, they have to declare it to the umpire. And Hernandez went to Cora and said, "This is what they're doing." And Cora said, "Well, this is going to get interesting." And he just sat back and let it unfold and said, "Yeah, you can't do that."
And they made an official protest, but that's never going to hold up.
Of course it's not.
It's never
Of course
gonna
it's
hold
not.
up.
Major League Baseball's not going to make its
That
umpires
wasn't a
look
pine
bad.
tar game
No.
situation.
Well, they're not going to make the umpires look bad.
No.
I mean, it's enough of a problem
It's critical
already.
to do that.
So that's something, and this Atlantic League, we don't think we have time to get into it now. They have had a whole slew of new rules that they've gone through in the Atlantic League as experiments. I think next show we might go through some of those. Because
some are pretty interesting.
And some are really
But
interesting ideas.
Again,
Yeah.
it's baseball is being tinkered with because supposedly it's losing interest among younger people. And a fellow here in the studio just told me 3.5-hour ball games. My God, I can sit through those. We could sit through 7-hour ball games.
Absolutely. Give me 2 of those.
In fact, in the World Series we did, didn't we?
We sure did, till 3:30 in the morning.
It's just instant gratification. Takes too damn long.
Right. Yeah.
And this generation doesn't like a sport that isn't slam bam thank you ma'am all
Of course.
the time.
Of course. Absolutely.
Because football also lasts 3 hours, but every play is predictable. It's violent. And it's easy to diagram all the time. And hockey, of course, is just guys beating each other up.
well, hockey and basketball is, I'm going to use quotes, constant action.
That's right.
It's going where baseball is more cerebral. It's more of a chess match, and the downtime, to us anyway, is just as exciting as the action.
Hockey plays 60 minutes and nobody scores, but everybody gets beat up. So.
Short-lived. Yeah, but if you're the Reds Pirates and you're Yasiel Puig or the guy who took on the whole Pirates bench, there is plenty of beating up going on. So.
Well, okay, we've tried to open up a few controversial lines tonight. It's been baseball season, although the Sox aren't doing very well. It's got some good races going on, and I think we're going to have to talk about Raffy Devers in the next show.
Absolutely.
Because he's turning out to be quite an extraordinary young player.
Management, lock this kid up long term.
That's right.
Lock him up. So
until next time, we'll see you all anon.
We'll see you at the park.
And closing song tonight is kind of appropriate for our topic. Have a good night.
Take care.
Oh, put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Put me in cold. I'm ready to play today. Look at me. I can be center field. Well, I spent some time in the Mudville night, watching it from the fence. You know I took some lumps when the mighty case struck out. So say hey Willie, tell the cow, and Joe DiMaggio, don't say it ain't so.
Thank you for watching another outstanding program provided to you by Lunenburg Public Access. We're here to serve the community. Lunenburg Public Access is always looking for volunteers to help record town events, high school sports, and town meetings. Please consider helping us out today. To contact us, you can call 617-763-3018 or email us at lunenburgaccess@gmail.com.